Purdy will not play against the Saints. It's a left shoulder injury along with some toes not feeling great. That means Mac Jones going to get the start tomorrow and potentially beyond week 2.
The Morning Buzz is brought to you by One A Day.
All right, let's break it down. What does it all mean? NFL insider Jeremy Fowler joining the program. What more can you tell us about Purdy's injuries?
Gee, the 49ers are looking at this as week to week. So he's got the toe issue, the shoulder issue. The toe is considered a little bit more of a problem. So it's not a slam dunk next week either, but they're just going to see how he feels. He ruled out this week. Going to let him progress. It's going to be Mac Jones time this weekend. Now, that's interesting because the 49ers looked at him hard in the 2021 draft, 3rd overall. They considered drafting him, didn't happen. Now, Mac Jones gets his first chance to operate Kyle Shanahan's offense. So San Francisco hopes that's a short-term thing. Brock's working his way back, doing a nice job with his rehab, but out for this week. Not a slam dunk for next week either, but they're hopeful.
It's the Saints, it's the Cardinals, and I believe the Jags next up for the 49ers. Obviously early in the season, maybe Mac Jones can keep them afloat. Purdy not the only injury from week 1. What's the latest on James Cook's status tomorrow?
James Cook had a little bit of a hammy, but he's good to go. He was limited early in the week, but he perked up. That was really just a tightness issue, not a full-blown hamstring, injury or tear. So he's going to get to tote the rock for the Bills, feeling good, no issue there. The bigger issue is Ed Oliver, defensive line. He's out. So the Jets are happy about that, but they're going to have to deal with James Cook. He's going to be in the lineup, good to go. Then you have Xavier Worthy. His chances to play are slim. He's considered doubtful for this weekend's game against the Eagles, but he's perked up a little bit. He should be back in the next few weeks. They're just trying to get all their playmakers on the field. Rashee Rice will be back eventually as well. And you got Jalen Waddle. So he was a little banged up earlier in the week, but he is good to go. Head coach Mike McDaniel confirmed that Waddle will be in the lineup. They're trying to get Tyreek Hill and Waddle going now. Ugly game against the Colts last week, but Waddle's really a guy who developed a lot of chemistry over the years at Tua Tagovailoa, but especially this camp. They were really cooking before they started to struggle in week 1, so they're hoping that Waddle gets back on it. He is healthy, good to go.
A get-right game against the Patriots. The Patriots, a team that Waddle had 8 catches, 144 yards, and a touchdown against. Jeremy Fowler is back. So too is last year's Super Bowl rematch. It's the Chiefs. It's the Eagles. The Chiefs trying to avoid an 0-2 start. What are you hearing about their game plan without Xavier Worthy?
Gee, Xavier Worthy made some progress this week. He almost got back in the lineup, but they're going to play it safe. He's doubtful for this game. So they're going to go with some old reliable options. Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then the newbie Tyquan Thornton that they acquired this offseason will play a role. He could be a deep threat for Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs do feel like they can make some progress despite being depleted at receiver, because the Eagles have been sort of shuffling around that cornerback 2 spot with Adoree Jackson, the journeyman, going to get the start again. Struggled a bit last week, so the Chiefs are hoping they can take advantage. And they know in this kind of matchup they have to run the ball well. So Isaiah Pacheco is going to have to be a factor. Also from the Eagles side, watch for A.J. Brown. Only 1 target last week.
8 yards.
They are hoping to get him more involved. It's got to be organic. They're not going to force feed him, but those easy slant routes that he can get 8 to 10 yards on, they're going to try to get him involved.
If there was ever a time to have home field advantage on your side, it is for the Chiefs at Arrowhead because they are many men down. In the NFC, Giants still rocking with Russell Wilson at QB1. How soon could we see Jackson Dart under center?
Well, the Giants are trying to stick to their plan here. They got the veteran Russell Wilson. They're trying not to make a rash decision here. They're hoping that Wilson and the offense plays well this preseason to the point where he's been a factor. The noise is only going to get louder. We know that, especially if they don't Dart package. The Giants have shown that even throughout camp. They'd have a drive where Russell Wilson's leading the drive, then Dart will come in, maybe around the red zone at the goal line. So could be a factor where they maybe try to get him in the game. Dallas is at least prepared for that, but they've mostly prepared for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's first-round draft capital, and everybody knows that the fans and the media in New York are relaxed, they're calm, they're welcoming, they're understanding. No big deal at all. Jeremy Fowler with the latest.
NFL Live on a Friday. We have RC, we have me, and Oswego will be along shortly. Super Bowl 59 rematch is the headliner this week, but we got things underway last night. The Green Bay Packers hosting the Commanders at Lambeau, and what a follow-up to week 1 they had, RC. Although the Pack lost Jayden Reed early in this game. He has a broken collarbone. That's okay, because Jordan Love found a lot of other folks, including Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs here. Quick inside move on Mike Sanders. It's a big start for the Green Bay Packers.
And then in the second quarter, Love throwing it downfield for Malik Heath. What a catch as the Pack scores twice on 90-plus yard drives.
You mentioned earlier, Jayden Reed goes down early. People like Malik Heath stepped up and made big plays the whole time. And then Josh Jacobs, a guy who just finds the end zone every single game, gets in there one more time.
And the Pack leads 14-3 at the half. Micah Parsons continuing to make that defense even better. Daniels sacked 4 times, 12 quarterback hits on Jayden Daniels, and they missed a field goal too. That kicking game wasn't even working for the Commanders. Now they're trailing 17-3. He has time, and he finds the old man, Zach Ertz.
Jayden Daniels continued to fight Zach Ertz here with a smooth move in the open field. He fights for the pylon and gets it in.
Ertz actually had the best game of anybody on the offensive side there, believe it or not, for the Commanders. Packers next drive, they answer. How about Tucker Kraft in a game that he had?
Hey, I tell you what, Tucker Kraft is still open somewhere in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Packers win. Here's Micah.
Defense wins championships. J Love, I think, you give us 20 points, we should be able to win that game. It's all about getting stops and getting the ball back into the offense. As y'all seen against Baltimore or Buffalo, you can have a quarterback game, have a perfect game, but still lose because guess what? The defense gave up, 40 points? So defense won championship. They want to, I think the fans like points and they like to see the big plays, but when you play great defense, it's just so beautiful to see.
Like I said, they executed their scheme, whatever it was. They executed really well because they won the game. And we just didn't make plays. Starts with me, starts with everybody up front, starts with the whole offensive skill group.
The Packers blitzing Jayden Daniels, that was a difference maker. He was pressured on 9 of those 15 blitzes, sacked twice, completed only 3 of 11 throws, worst completion percentage, not just by him, but by any Washington quarterback over the last 15 years. Yikes. Micah Parsons played 15 more plays than he did in week 1, 69% of their plays on defense. Mina, what'd you see from that Packers D last night?
You know what I love about watching Parsons in this defense, Ryan? They could have traded for him and then just said, okay, cool, line up outside the tackle, we're going to rush 4, win on every down. Instead, Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, uses him as like the queen on the chessboard, mixing up his alignments, sending pressures, both real and simulated, in different situations. And then you have other defensive linemen taking advantage of their one-on-ones. Devontae Wyatt, Brooks, Rashawn Gary, who was excellent as well. I think what you're seeing in Green Bay right now is what happens when you have a true force multiplier talent, and that's what Micah Parsons is, but you also have exceptional creative coaching. That combination is so hard to stop, and it's a big part of why Parsons' impact goes far beyond what you see from him in the box score.
But I love the fact that you mentioned Jeff Hafley first, right? Because that's a big piece of what they're doing. He's continuing to coach. He's not relying on his players to make up for the X's and O's. He's putting his players in position to win. And we thought that this defense wouldn't be good coming into the year without Micah Parsons. But what I did love about the way that Brian Kunikes made this deal was he didn't give up a pass rusher to gain one. He didn't say, hey, Lucas Van Ness, we're going to send you over to the Dallas Cowboys. Rashawn Gary, we're going to send you over. And so there are often times where you're seeing pressure on Jayden Daniels and you're looking for number 1 and you realize that Micah Parsons is on the sideline. And then now the second level, we're seeing Edgerrin Cooper play at an all-pro level, Quay Walker come into his own, and now Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs and Carrington Valentine, a spot that could have been a negative for the Green Bay Packers. They ain't got to cover long enough so we can figure it out. I love the way that this offense or this defense is working on every single level.
The play of the cornerbacks has been the most shocking thing to me, Ryan, because I thought this front seven was good already. They were good last year, but I thought going into this season that DB group, the corners in particular, were going to be a weakness on this team. I thought players like Hobbs and Nixon might be better suited for playing the slot. Did not look like that last night. I mean, Keyshawn Nixon was unbelievable getting hands on the football. And I think you see, and Ryan, I know you know this very well, is how much a secondary can feed off of knowing that their pass rush is going to apply pressure and get home. They're playing with a level of confidence and coverage that, frankly, I did not see last season. And again, this goes back to Parsons and that force multiplier effect. You truly see it at every level of this defense.
And also, too, Michael Parsons wearing his cute little hat and saying that defense wins championships. championships. That's an absolute fact. But what we also have to remember is this team scores well early on in the game. So they've been up in both of these games. They've been able to hunt in both of these games. The simulated pressure, bringing one extra rusher from the second level, or winning with 4 players up front. You get an opportunity to do so much, disguised in so many ways, because you're ahead on the scoreboard. And so I get it, Micah. Yeah, Baltimore gave up 41 and they lost and all of those different things. But because your team strikes first with the big play, Jordan Love's pushing the ball down the field, it now works complementary with what you do well on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh my gosh, good organization, good coaching, good quarterback, great trade. Let's go.
Yeah, they're winning.
Yeah.
They are winning.
All right, new on NFL Live from our Jets reporter Rich Cimini, Aaron Glenn says he expects Sauce Gardner to play on Sunday when they host the Bills. Listed with an injured groin yesterday, he was limited in practice. Meanwhile, more news coming out of this matchup from our Bills reporter, Lena Getzenberg. Head coach Sean McDermott said that defensive tackle Ed Oliver will be out for Sunday's game against the Jets. That's a left ankle injury. This is rough. He got stepped on during Wednesday's practice. He had a boot on his foot yesterday. He said they're going to see for Thursday's game against Miami. Obviously, it's a short week. In regards to Oliver, man, how much does this loss affect the matchup, RC?
Well, I think the first thing is whatever shoe stepped on Ed Oliver, that shoe should no longer be allowed in the building, because on Sunday night, Ed Oliver was the best player on this defense, even in opportunities to affect the game, whether it be the pass, tackles for loss, and then obviously the huge forced fumble late in the game. Ed Oliver was the playmaker on the defense. Justin, and help me out here, was Justin's last name? Justin Fields. There we go. I had a brain fart.
Oh, you mean the quarterback.
I was talking to you,
I thought you
Hannah. I wasn't making up a difference.
I thought you were looking for another
Justin
running
Fields.
back.
I had a brain fart.
Justin
But I'm not saying that Justin Fields and Breece Hall are Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but they're kind of like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson-ish.
Right.
And so you need a guy like Ed Oliver, who showed how big of a piece he was to this defense, to be out there to make some plays.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Ryan, on this run game, because it was kind of lost in the Bills' win that until the very end of the game, they were getting gashed on the ground, and Oliver was so instrumental at the end in forcing the fumble and getting some tackles. But that Ravens rushing attack off of outside zone last week averaged over 9 yards per carry. And to your point, you know who had a pretty damn good-looking outside zone run game week 1 against Pittsburgh?
Exactly.
The Jets. Again, fence and the tape, man. Missed tackles, out-gapped, out-leveraged, guys completely misdiagnosing where the run was. The Bills really have to clean that up. Otherwise, I think this Jets offense is going to be harder to stop than many people thought.
Yeah, when you looked at the Jets offense, that was the offense we've been waiting to see. That was the Breece Hall we've been looking for since he was drafted out of Iowa State, and now you add Justin Fields to that. And some of that quarterback run that, quite frankly, they didn't show in the preseason. I felt like it got Justin in the rhythm. They were able to move the pocket in the pass game. And when you saw what he did by scrambling to throw, I think it's going to put a ton of pressure on the Buffalo Bills in this defense. And this is going to be one of those games, at least in my opinion, that ends up being a lot closer than it looked when the schedules were made in the offseason.
I mean, I think all of us see the possibility of an upset alert, and yet when you look at the picks that we all made, we made the Bills, but here's our twisted logic. There's the gong. We ruined week 1 for so many teams, so I think, Mina, this gives the Jets a chance. What do you think?
So we didn't talk about the Bills' offense. That's why I'm picking the Bills to win. Josh Allen is going to move the ball.
Hey, Peter, exactly. It's not that the Jets can't do all of the things we said the Jets could do. It's just that Josh Allen and the Bills can do a little bit more offense. I think this game is close, but I believe when you have the best player on the field, and in a lot of instances, the best player in all of the NFL, they find ways to make plays when it matters most.
Yeah, definitely some hope, though, in the start of the Aaron Glenn era. Justin Fields as quarterback.
Thank you.
I'm talking about running back.
We didn't
know what you can't read your mind. Well, maybe we should. Just getting started on Sunday's Super Bowl rematch, which comes our way. The defending champion Eagles into KC to face the 0-1 Chiefs. So let's build out a play sheet presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. You do the honors, please, RC.
You know what? We're going to start with Saquon Barkley, 107 4.5 yards. I'm going to say under, and here's why. Because I look at Steve Spagnuolo and the way that he played against this team in the Super Bowl, he made sure that Saquon Barkley was not going to beat him. So he's going to force Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith to be the guys to do it. And I just don't believe that he's going to say 26, you get an opportunity to be anywhere you want to be. Mahomes, 241.5 yards. I'm going to go over for this. And the reason I'm going to go over is because he's going to have to pass it. He's going to have to move it around. And just remember, the corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell, who was a Dory Jackson in the last game, he had a very tough time against the Dallas Cowboys. If CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop a few passes, I think that that's a lot different on the scoreboard and also the stat sheet. And also A.J. Brown, 4.5 receptions or 4.5 receptions. I'm going to say over.